Well, I've got to take apart this top part of the primer here and inspect the parts inside. It took quite a bit of searching, but I was able to actually find that these internal parts for this primer pump are available. This entire primer pump, or one that replaces it, is available now. Prices range anywhere from $50 to $75 for this whole assembly. And because I felt that, really just the body of the pump, there's a spring in there and a couple other small little components and some O-rings and these seals here, I figured it'd be more economical to try and repair this one if I could get the parts. So come to find out, this rubber piece here that had broken off on the end of the plunger, this was off like this, and that's why it wasn't working. This plunger with this rubber piece attached and this rubber piece already installed is sold as an assembly, and I'll put that part number up now. Then that piece is relatively inexpensive. It's about $22 for the whole assembly. Then we've got some components inside here. So the way that this gets disassembled is this nut on the top here has to be removed. And oddly enough, you don't want to break this nut, because for some reason this nut is about $23 to replace, and the entire body of the pump, this whole part right here, if you were to crack this, is only about $22 to replace. So go figure. So a 1-inch wrench fits nicely on the body, and then a 7/8 inch wrench for the nut. Now there's a spring inside here, so I wouldn't be surprised if this wants to pop up, and it does. Not much though. Oh, okay. So that must be one of the valves that they're talking about. Okay, so there's a part number for this valve, and the valve, there's two of these inside this unit. So the first one goes on this way. Okay, and it's a little check valve. And these are only about $3 and change a piece, $3 or $4 a piece. Now the problem is that my supplier can only get these, order them from Standardine as a 10-pack. This is the part number. So the problem is that I only need 2 of them. It means I'm going to pay for 8, and at, let's just say arbitrarily, they're $4 a piece. That's $40 for 10, and I really only wanted to replace 2. And now that I've got these out and I look at them and I see how they're put together, I can actually see this one looks like it's in pretty good shape. So I think I'm gonna just clean that and reinstall it. And then there are several seals or O-rings. Here's one. And again, the problem is inexpensive little O-ring, but I have to buy them in a 10-pack. So now you're talking about, this little O-ring I think is 50 cents or so. That's not too bad. You get 10 of them for $5. But some of the larger O-rings, like this one right here in this groove, I think these are like $1.50 or $1.20 a piece. Now all of a sudden you can see how it starts to all add up, and it gets expensive real quick when you're buying a bunch of O-rings you don't need. So the reason why I'm taking this apart today is so that while I'm waiting for my other parts to come in from Standardine distributor, I can take these O-rings to a local shop and get them sized. and just pick them up locally where I can just buy one or two of each or whatever I need. Alright, just pick this one out of that groove with a fine blade screwdriver. There's some dirt in there. Okay, so now down inside the bore here there's another check valve, and that can't come out the bottom here, so that's going to come out through the top here, but there's a spring right here that has to come out first. So here we have the spring, and the spring looks pretty symmetrical, so I don't have to worry about which way that goes back in. And the spring is in good shape, other than dirt and maybe a little bit of rust on there, but we'll clean that up. Now with the spring out, I should be able to just tap this on the bench and get that other check valve to hopefully pop out. Maybe not. See if I can't pick it loose without damaging it. You know, I could take this fitting off and just pop it out that way, I bet, but let's see if I can. Ah, there we go. Just turn a little bit with the screwdriver blade without making a hole in it. There we go. So there's my other one, my other check valve. And this one also looks pretty good. There is some debris stuck in it, which looks like it might impede its proper operation. So we'll clean that up really well. And then there should be one more O-ring in here. There it is, down inside there. I don't know if you can see it or not. So that O-ring, this O-ring must be responsible for making sure that the fuel doesn't go around that outer edge of the check valve and leak, so you don't get any leak through when you're trying to pump. O-ring number 3. 3 O-rings. Let's see if I make sure I get this in the camera shot. 2 check valves, 3 O-rings, the spring, the nut, the body of the pump, the 2 fittings, plunger assembly, and the bail. That's all the parts. And all I really need to replace is this plunger assembly, which of course comes with this piston on the end here, and these 3 O-rings, and clean everything up and put it back together. And I'm back in business for what's going to come to, even with the shipping, probably $35 versus buying the whole new one, which I think I might have been able to find it for as little as like $55, $10 shipping, $65 for a new one. But there's no guarantee that the new one's going to be made any better than this one. As a matter of fact, my experience has been lots of times this older stuff is more well made than the new stuff. So, well, I was just about to pack up my O-rings to take them with me tomorrow into the city to the place where I buy my O-rings, get them sized up, and I happened to look over at the remaining O-rings from the Stanadyne injection pump kit, the Spaco kit. Lo and behold, spotted this O-ring, and boy, doesn't that look like a perfect match for that. I already cleaned up this right here with this seats, and this O-ring basically just sits in there like that. I cleaned up one of these check valves, and this is gonna sit down in there like this. So that's one less O-ring I've got to buy. I guess I should compare some of these other ones that are left in that bag. Although I don't really see one this size in there, so I might be out of luck on that. There's these 3 big thin ones. There's another thin one there. Way too large of a diameter. That's a little bit larger and too thin. Yeah. OD's a little too big on that one. I think I'm running out of luck here. These are smaller. There's one tiny one. And I got this one here. This one here might be... No, not quite. I thought maybe it might be the one that's down in the bore, but it's not. So, this one's going to be a little bit trickier to size because it's crushed in a way that almost makes it look like it's not a round O-ring. But no, I think it is. I think it's just been compressed so much that it's deformed.